Everyone fears losing their mind. Disease, loneliness, trauma, prolonged pressure, time. There are countless ways our minds can meet oblivion long before our bodies. So we invent routines that can hopefully carry us from and back to our pillows intact. Slicing up the days into chunks that can be more easily digested. When your maintenance fails and the edifice crumbles, you will realize that the creeping dark comes not from without, but within. Sanity was always the unnatural state. Sanity was the invader. At the end of that long entropic road, when all your humanity and sense is withered away, only the madness remains.
Welcome to the DreadX collection. We have one big game combined into 10 smaller games, all by different indie developers, all with their own mechanics, gameplay, style, and they're all horror based, so I feel like this would have been a good time as Halloween gets closer and closer. Let's check it out. Alright, the first game on our list is The Pay is Nice. It's short, it seems to be inspired by Resident Evil and SCP, and we got classic camera angles, just like an old RE game, and a spooky atmosphere to match. Now we start being placed into the shoes of some scientist man doing his job, where he makes drugs and kills people for some reason. But hey, pay is nice. We decide to walk around our workplace. We put on our shiny new lab coat, even though it's not really shiny and it's completely covered in blood for some reason. As we enter the security checkpoint on our way to our office, we decide to shoot the security guard. We let the security guard, Paul, sit there and think about his actions, as we're starting to run late for our shift. We're then ordered to stay in the light on the way to our office, as our 10-second walk is obviously the most stressful part of our day. This pure release of stress calls for a dance, so that's exactly what we do. We then find the autopsy report on Paul, even though he just died. And apparently he's a drug addict. And also, his name's not even Paul. Well, the next 30 minutes consist of me trying to figure out this surprisingly complex puzzle where we gotta match the pills, match the numbers. We get tired of working, so we take our 10-minute break to admire our beautiful mask collection. We then have some nightmares, decide to head back to work. Unfortunately, we lose track of time and we go a bit over our 10 minutes, so someone decides to shoot us while we're solving the puzzle. We accept our punishment and walk back to our computer. Our main character then finally figures out how to do his job, and then he calls it a day, so he heads out. Although we don't actually head out, but instead discover on our way to the lab. Dun, dun, dun.
The patient is missing.
Cut to credits. That's it. Well, that concludes game number 1. The pay is nice. Definitely an interesting one, but we got a lot of games to cover, so let's head on to game number 2. Our next game completely shifts to something far different, and honestly just confused me at first. This one took a while for me to fully figure out what the hell I was doing, since you're not really told anything. Now we're this little dude with the Santa hat, and we have to try to avoid this creepy tentacle monster that follows us around everywhere. We have a selection of cards to use each turn, and at first I thought I was supposed to kill this monster thing with one of my cards, but I kept getting useless cards and I couldn't do anything. After a bunch of trial and error, I eventually realized that we just had to survive the day by running away, and then spawn some meat shields to take the hits for us. There's also these red vine things that grow along the ground, and they can instantly kill you if it touches you, so you gotta be aware not to run into them or stand still for too long, because they could spawn on your tile when you're waiting there. I kept trying to put all my dudes into the corner to try and outlive the spiky red grass, but that never seemed to work. After about 10 or so tries, I realized you could get into the house at the top and shut the door behind you, stopping the vines from following you in. All you have to deal with now is this other freak trying to corner you, but as long as you have some meat shields and movement strats, it's no problem. This one could honestly be beaten in like 5 minutes, but it took me around 30 minutes just trying to figure out what to do. I also have no idea what the sacrifice card does, and nothing happened when I tried to sacrifice one of my guys. This one was alright, albeit a bit simple, with only one possible solution, but on to the next game. Hand of Doom is the next one down the list, and I thought the premise for this one was actually pretty interesting. You start off in a cell, and mysteriously, some hooded figure decides to set you free. He then teaches you how to unlock doors with a spell. To use spells in this game, you have to basically rechant whatever the words are.
Both dark and fell. The way is shut, lest you cast the right spell.
I found this to be a pretty interesting mechanic at first, but it starts to get annoying quick watching the same hand movements and listening to your guy say eth, ist, or over and over like he's learning a new language.
Ist, ort. Ist, ta, ort.
The first one teaches you how to make fire float on top of your head. While pretty boring by itself, it does help get through this dark ass cave, lighting the torches along the way.
Ist, ta, ort.
Once we light all the torches in this dungeon though, we discover a magical dagger, which we could then use to cast even better spells.
Ist, ta, ort. The way is shut, lest you cast the right spell. Ist, ta, ort.
By even better spells, I just mean a spell that makes ghosts disappear, so it's not really that interesting.
If you, tal, ort, ist.
We also learn another spell that heals you, which kinda makes the sacrificial dagger useless, since damage doesn't even matter.
Ta, ort, ist.
We get through the maze of ghosts, casting the same spell over and over about 20 times.
Ta, 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 ort, ist.
Anyway, after heading through the ghost maze, we get the Orb of True Death, and we can enter the final dungeon.
Ist, ta, ort.
We light the torches with our face, unlock the gate, and we head on in.
Ta, ist, ort.
We come to our final test, the test of reading comprehension. We recite the chant on the wall and, oh no, we summon the master on accident.
You fool. you were going to banish me? I was guiding you towards my resurrection over time. Is now I live again, and you shall be the first to die.
We're left to rethink our foolishness as the game ends. Anyways, onto our fourth game. One thing I think many of these games have in common is that they're all clearly inspired by other games, which I think is a good thing. Summer Night, to me, seems heavily inspired by other games such as Pony Island or Frog Fractions. While obviously nowhere near the scale of those games, I still found this one to be pretty interesting, as it never really hits you until the end. I kept wondering if something was actually going to happen, or if this really was the entire game. Anyway, this one plays like an old Game & Watch game or something, and he plays the skeleton man from Undertale, collecting mushrooms. This is all that you do, but every once in a while you'll hear a faint knock at the door, or something, breathing down your neck. There's also a monkey that comes in and shits everywhere. Either way, we do this song and dance for a while, when all of a sudden the girl from the ring pops into your game and starts harassing you. We kill her, I think, but the batteries on our Game Boy die and we're put back into the real world. Okay, that's the game. This one had a pretty good atmosphere, although the end was a little strange. On to our next game. Outsiders completely shocked me. After the past few bunch, I didn't expect to see a game like this within the collection, and I ended up having a great time with it. This one by far took me the longest, with it being as long as every other game combined. We start by waking up in a strange house, and we start opening some drawers. From the get-go, it's easy to tell this one's heavily inspired by PT just from the house setting itself. We find a brass key after looking around for a bit and put it in our pocket. We then find a lock, but it seems like the brass key doesn't fit. We step out into our backyard and find out we really like corn, so we decided to make an entire corn farm in our backyard. We then pull up to a trail of blood, and we start following it, but then this naked dude just slashes at our knees every once in a while. We get to a shed, but find out the key doesn't work here either, so we're fucked. Confused as hell, this motherfucker slices our knees wide open and we fucking die. Okay. We're back in the house. We find a bunch of stock photos, and the game actually points out that they're stock photos, which at first I thought was a fourth wall break. Then some psycho decides to put a nuclear bomb behind our toaster, but it's not actually a nuclear bomb, it's just a secret switch to our fireplace. We get the key to the basement and head down, and it smells like sweaty man flesh. Strange. It's at this point I run out of ideas, so it's time to head back outside into the corn maze of hell, and we follow the blood trail once more. After getting our dick sliced off a few times, we make it back to the shed and we have the right key. We then book it to the basement with our newfound can of oil. a new button pressed, I'm lost again. I leave the room and fucking die. God damn it. We're back in the house. I open the vent with a screwdriver, find another button, and it's at this point I realize what the hell I'm doing. I have to find all the buttons. Okay, I really like this puzzle here. Earlier on I got a hint which said something along the lines of, this light doesn't turn on. So I flick this switch and realize this light bulb isn't turning on. So I hit the bulb and bam, another button revealed. I find the crowbar and head straight back to the crate. With one button left to go, I'm lost again. So I look up a guide. What we're supposed to do is find a random ass key on a random ass shelf and head into the attic. We walk past a bunch of mannequins and finally hit the last button. Get the hell out of the house until... Wait. What the fuck? Holy shit, I was not expecting this ending. The aliens congratulate me on a job well done.
Congratulations, human contestant 104,298 of season 894 of The Human Show. After 104,297 other failed contestants, your combined progress working together has finally allowed one of you in particular, to escape the human house. As a reward for being the one to make it, we will allow you to keep your memories. We will of course need to put you in stasis while we collect enough winners from our other studio sites. But then the fun will begin. For all intents and purposes, welcome to part 2.
Holy shit, that was gold. In a sea of good games, this one felt amazing. The naked crackhead scared the shit out of me, and the ending surprised the shit out of me. I could definitely see this one being its full-on separate game from this collection, and I really hope it does at some point. What an amazing way to end part 1, and come back next time where I get through the last 5 games. Thanks.